You probably saw out there on Friday and Saturday, and now today on Sunday, a few of the video clips of John McCain being confronted at town hall meetings across the state of Arizona that the member of the Keating Six, no one is able to ever get rid of. The anti-gun, world government promoting, open border promoting, banker bailout promoting, piece of absolute traitorous garbage. The Chucky Schumer dressed up as a Republican. But we posted some videos up on INFOWARS.com of what really went on at those things, shot from behind the podium, where you see everyone screaming at McCain, everyone hating him, and saying he should be arrested for treason and running al-Qaeda. And this is happening all over the country. People are waking up to what's happening. And this is really a manifestation of the accelerated understanding people are having about the level of tyranny that we're under and are about to be under, because things are rapidly degrading right now, obviously. And you've got those groups of people that are waking up very, very fast versus people that are actually getting more into their nihilistic denial and their criticism of those of us that are trying to reverse the degenerative tide that we've been swept under by. But the cattle, the willingly ignorant, willingly duped, arrested development population out there, they don't count. They're just prey that the globalists have always been feeding on, and the globalists want to make us all like that. But it doesn't matter. If 5% of us are awake and don't go along, the New World Order can't get away with this. And we're talking maybe 30, 40% of the country that is really waking up fully right now. I'd say 10% is hardcore awake, 30, 40% somewhat awake. And once you reach that tipping point, if they just wake up one more person, it's bye-bye New World Order. We can all then basically just passively bring this thing down, and no amount of false flags, no amount of staging new wars, no amount of anything is ever going to put it back together again, because here's the big issue, the good news. The term false flag, self-inflicted wound, inside job, frame job, setup, key bono, who benefits in Latin, that is now popular nomenclature across the world. And we have now seen everyone from Rush Limbaugh to Ted Cruz to Ron Paul to Rand Paul to Pat Buchanan and so many others now saying it's an inside job. The Russians saying it's an inside job. Pundits on Fox News having debates about inside job. The Russian report that the latest chemical attack's an inside job. If you take the power of the false flag, the Hegelian dialectic of problem reaction solution, away from the technocrats, it's pretty much game over. Because sometimes they don't even stage stuff. It happens, but they use that to take our liberties. Like there's a mass shooting, then they want to take everybody's guns, when guns on average make us safer. The collective guilt is gone. The collective fear is gone. People now understand.
Now you can watch Alex Jones live at INFOWARS.com/show.
You'll find links to all of our content there and a free 15-day trial for Prison Planet TV.
You can also browse the network, the InfoWars Nightly News,
and over 60 movies and documentaries all together in one place.
You can watch the Alex Jones radio show live as it happened.
So check it out, INFOWARS.com/show.
Okay, obviously there's big military developments in and around Syria with more Russian and Chinese battleships, missile cruisers, helicopter carriers, and troop carriers arriving. B-1 bombers and B-2 bombers have been deployed to Diego Garcia to launch nuclear strikes in the Middle East and into Russia. Chinese fighter wings are being moved to their western border as well with Pakistan and India. The world is lining up for war. Now, I don't think we're going to have World War III, and I hope we don't, obviously. But many analysts, you've heard them and seen them on the news, are saying that an attack on Syria will probably lead to a larger regional war, and that there is a chance, in fact, a good chance that that could lead to a war between what's left of the United States. We're captured by megabanks, UN institutions that are above the law and pay no taxes, who use us as their juggernaut worldwide. There is a very good chance that the occupied United States and NATO in Europe will be thrown into a larger war with the Ruskies. Back on 8/88 in 2008, the day the Olympics began, Georgian forces backed by NATO mercenaries slammed into South Ossetia and Abkhazia, mass murdering Russian peacekeeping troops in their beds, destroying their quarters, firing missiles into them, sending in special forces, and then when the Russians tried to organize for a counterattack, they were overrun and slaughtered by armored divisions of NATO with Georgia. And, of course, the mass hoax was launched that day. I got up and heard, did you hear? My wife was shaking me awake at about 6:30 in the morning. Did you hear Russia attacked Georgia? And I went, excuse me? Russia attacked? So I walked in, turned on CNN. They announced Russia has attacked Georgia. Russian tanks are pouring in and attacking the poor president who was on TV, literally biting on his tie, begging for NATO help. And NATO began to send in C-130s loaded with more commandos. And I got to the office at about 9 a.m., read all the news, went on air and said, well, CNN's announcing Russia attacked. Now, by the end of the show, it was in the European, German, Dutch, French, and British news that actually Russia attacked after they were overrun and they were attacked. So they played a lawyer game. They said, well, Russia attacked, and then the bottom of the article, after they were attacked. And they rolled in medium-range, mobile, the big trucks with the missiles on the back, the nukes. And I was blown away. I mean, that was 6 years ago, or 5.5 years ago. And I couldn't believe then that they would announce on Fox, CNN, MSNBC, CNBC, NPR, every station in the country. Go back and look it up. It's now admitted that the attack was launched on Russia. And so I went on air and said, I was duped. I can't believe they'd lie that bad. I mean, even I couldn't believe lies of that magnitude. And then I was called in the national news a traitor, maybe a Ruski agent, folks. Because I was saying, well, wait, the foreign press admits that the Georgian forces, backed by NATO, tried to start a war with Russia. And then backed off when Russia, their chairman of their Joint Chiefs, went on TV, and I played this on the radio. You can look it up from the time, and said, we're going to now start launching nuclear weapons if the troop-carrying aircraft landing in the capital of Georgia do not turn around and take off. You're given 1 hour, and we are going to start nuclear war. You're given 1 hour, and we're going to launch nuclear missiles on Europe. You attacked us, international law. You have 1 hour to pull out. We're going to nuke you. And Dick Cheney and George Bush and NATO and Sarkozy at the time and the rest of them backed off. But that's when I really started to get, wow, these people really are crazy. They really are crazy. And the Russians are crazy too, but they're not the ones starting it. They came in and crushed it. Now, the good news is, if you fast forward 5 years later to 2013, Pat Buchanan, Ron Paul, Rand Paul, Ted Cruz, Rush Limbaugh, Glenn Beck, Alex Jones, articles on Drudge Report, Matt Drudge. I want to speak for Drudge himself, but the articles on the side have carried it. But all those others have openly come out and said, we believe this is probably a frame-up, inside job, false flag, to be blamed on Assad, who would logically not use chemicals if he's going to get invaded, and he's winning the war. And the intelligence they have is his Secretary of Defense screaming at their troops, their generals, saying, you better not launch this. And the Russians just released a 100-page dossier. It was actually out in March that the al-Qaeda rebels got caught nerve gassing before. They didn't get caught. They upload videos of it bragging. They did it again 3 weeks ago. See, that's what's so frustrating is the West did launch an attack on Russia. That's now admitted. Just the public can't find Georgia on a map. It ain't the place north of Florida with peaches, folks. I'm talking about new listeners. I'm not being mean here. But, I mean, you know, it's admitted that the West tried to start some weird war to see if Russia would back off 5 years ago. It's admitted the rebels. We found a video on an official al-Qaeda website that's been up for years on their channel where they uploaded the jihadis saying, of course we launched the nerve gas attack. Osama bin Laden told us to kill women and children. That, to their credit, got picked up by Fox News. So the good news here is I was on Geraldo Rivera's radio show, and then Saturday on his TV show, I had wrongfully posted a short video saying, well, it looks like they edited me down. Actually, I'm told I was on the full 6 minutes. Just the only clip on YouTube's a minute and a half long. We're trying to find the longer one. But they let me come on and lay out the Russian report and lay out that all these prominent people said it looks like an inside job and that over 60% of the rebels are al-Qaeda, the CFR admits, and this is a horrible plan to destabilize Syria and break it in multiple parts, and that Obama for 2.5 years in Jordan has been arming these rebels and injecting them, and that it's not a civil war, it's foreign mercenaries coming in. And so the good news is I listen and monitor talk radio, and I heard talk radio, some of them a week ago, regional and local hosts trying to push the war. None of them are doing that now because every caller I've heard has called in and said it's an abomination. Our government's behind al-Qaeda. They're using al-Qaeda to take our liberties. Our government created al-Qaeda, back in the 70s. People now get it. They understand the term false flag that no one knew 10, 15 years ago. They're now talking about setups and proxy wars, and it's really the public driving this to where Anderson Cooper was pushing war a week ago. He's saying it's a bad idea now as of Friday. MSNBC was pushing the war a week ago. They're not pushing it now. Fox News isn't pushing it now. This talk of it's well known Assad did it, people are engaged in the novel idea of saying, show us the proof. So Putin came out and laughed at Kerry and said, what a liar. Everyone knows most of the forces there are al-Qaeda. Kerry said there's no al-Qaeda. I mean, that's a bald-faced lie. And so they're still doing their old lies, but now they're doing it with people awake, and that's how history works. It's like a light switch. It's a tipping point, and I'm telling you, folks, we've crossed it. So the big question is, what are they going to pull to divert us from this massive awakening on the NSA, on Obamacare, on Benghazi?